Hey, it's the announcement guy. I'm here with my friend Dr. Roger, and we're here waiting for a bus. And I just thought while we're waiting, have a good opportunity for him to tell you about his meditation retreat that's coming up. Something I've been to a couple of times, and it's a beautiful opportunity.
I love doing the meditation and prayer retreat. November 10 through 13, a time of spiritual renewal. You'll learn about meditation, and you'll deepen and you'll grow. And we also have a lot of fun. So check it out. Come join us. You deserve it.
Meditation can be fun?
It is.
Wow.
Oh, it's the way I do it.
That's good. Here's what's coming up.
Have you signed up for a class yet? This is a great time to do so. Our classes here at Mile High Church provide inspiration and support as we're wanting to continue to up-level and improve our own life and be a greater contribution to the planet. You can register at milehighchurch.org at the classes page. Start with Beyond Limits. Beyond Limits is happening with Reverend Josh in person right here on our Mile High Church campus. You're going to love it. And lots of other classes online, in person. We have scholarships available. We have payment plans available. Classes really help us build community, make connections, and grow ourselves. We hope you'll join us for them.
Mile High community, I am happy to announce the theme for this year's Adventure in Faith, Leading with Light, Living from Your Inner Constellation of Truth. It's all about leading with the best of ourselves every day so that we can get the best out of our lives. So this series starts in October, and I'm happy to announce that what goes along with it is a small group program. You can sign up online right now or sign up in the lobby after services. These are groups that take place on campus or online, and I don't know about you, but it's time to connect with other human beings again. It's how we make our big church feel small. It's how we get to know people. It's how we do the important work of talking about what matters most in our lives and about our spirituality. So please sign up for one today. See you in October. We're looking forward to a great adventure in faith this year.
So does the bus come to a sunflower field?
Yeah. I think we might have got the wrong place for the bus, but it's been great sitting here with my friend Dr. Roger. How's the retirement thing going?
I think I'm getting the hang of it, but I miss everybody.
Okay, cool. We miss you too. Have a great week.
You guys, you guys can sing with me, or you can sit and sing, or stand and sing, however you guys want to do it. All right. I am love. Love. Oh, is what I am. All I need to know. Oh yeah, you guys are awake. Peace. I am peace. Peace. Peace is what I am. All I need to know. All I need to know. All I need to know. All I need to know is that I am. That I am. Are you ready for joy? I am joy. Joy, 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 joy. I am joy. Ooh, it's what I am. All I need to know. All I need to know. All I need to know. All I need to know is that I am. And now we're back to love, right where it starts. Here we go. I am love. Love, love, love.
Thank you, Lauren Seeley. Thank you, Mile High Band. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mile High Church. Each and every one of us is here today because we believe in or in the possibility of a divine power in, through, and around us, available to all, no matter your faith or lack thereof, no matter your gender or relationship orientation. This light of spirit, this infinite power is available to all of us, and especially when we come together like this, collectively, in person or online, and celebrate it, it stands up and says hello in our lives. It announces itself in all that we do. How good to be aware of it right here and right now, and how good to see it expressing today through Dr. Roger Teel. So grateful to have him speaking today. Words not only full of inspiration, but during the first service, I just felt like wrapped in a warm blanket of hope and love. So thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. Roger, we're having a little computer issue today, so you may notice a couple changes in the graphics, which means our homework today is to say the vision and mission from heart. Can we do that? Can we do that great test? All right. Our vision: oneness revealed, a world of love, I cheated, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission: to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. Good job. Give yourselves a hand. You know, a great Sunday is when Barry Ebert sings Surely the Presence and Dr. Patty Lukenbach gives us a prayer. So let's have it now.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
As Barry so beautifully sang, the presence of Spirit, Almighty God, is in this very place. For there's no place like home, and home is within our hearts. So I recognize on above, below, and all around about, there is this everlasting life. It's like breathing in the rays of the sun into our heart space, recognizing that the light of the divine has always been and always will be. So I give thanks for this holy, sacred presence. And I recognize that each one of us, all of us, we have been cut from that divine fabric, those golden threads of life. That is our umbilical cord, connected to our soul forever and forever and forever. So just sense that right where you are, no matter what the conditions, what the effects perhaps have been in your world today or this past week. Set down any thought about what is to come. Be ever so present in this divine beauty of the sacred. So what I declare today, that this amazing community of Mile High Church, indeed, it was birthed from that light, and that light continues to shine as a beacon from this very place, for there's no place like home. And so I declare for each one of us that internal freedom to recognize our birthright and to stand tall in it and to allow that to unfold abundantly. It is that ribbon of health and healing that is always present. Oh, and I just celebrate this. And I celebrate Dr. Roger today in his powerful message. I give thanks for the music. And most importantly, collectively, we give thanks for each one of you. So with gratitude just filling my heart right now, and I know the memory of that gratitude lives within my heart, I say thank you. Not to a God outside of me, but to the God that lives within. And we just declare this into being, and we say amen, amen, amen. And so it is.
I know there's gonna be some brighter days. I swear that love will find you in your pain. I feel it in me like the beating of life in my veins. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. Whoa, ashes fall from burning trees. Whoa, never lived through times like these. Oh, if you're faint, feel it's hard to breathe in the dark. In the dark. Some brighter days. I swear that love will find you in your pain. I feel it in me like the beating of life in my veins. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. Your screams don't make a sound. Oh, if the walls are crashing down. Oh, if your heart just cries too loud all the time. All the time. Oh, I know there's gonna be some brighter days. The beating of life in my veins. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. Oh, I know there's gonna be some brighter days. Oh, 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 brighter days. Oh. I know there's gonna be some brighter days. I swear that love will find you in your pain. I feel it in me like the beating of life in my veins. Oh, I know there's gonna be some brighter days. I swear that love will find you in your gonna be some brighter days.
Our first reading this morning comes from the Gospel of Luke. Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, or what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to their life? And from the Tao Te Ching, fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only way to serenity.
Can't escape disappointment, can't avoid the delay, but I don't have to make feeling down and defeated the place that I stay. Gonna rise to the moment, gonna speak to the waves, gonna push back the darkness that threatens my feelings when heaven's invade. Oh, don't need to see it to believe it. Heaven invades, and it's more than a feeling, and it's anchored in praise. And when it's the darkest, it reaches the farthest and opens a way. Oh, don't need to see it, no, 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 to believe it. Before you even move or make way, I was tempted, faith, walk by. Live by faith, no. I believe, stand in faith, see by faith, receive by faith, no. I believe, this is how blind men get their sight. This is how good things multiply. This is how dead men start to rise. Nothing's impossible, nothing's impossible. This is how oceans have to part. This is how light comes through the dark. This is how I see who you are. Nothing's impossible, nothing's impossible. Stir my faith, stir my faith. I will stand in
Fabulous Lauren Sheely. Oh my gosh, always phenomenal. Mile High Band today, directed by Rob Lowe. Blessings to you all. Outstanding. Good morning. Love and blessings to you all. Oh, I see Josh's crib notes up here. Love and blessings to you all. It's always wonderful to be here. Eric and I always love to hang out with you all whenever possible and knock off some rust and see if I can still do this stuff. After this many years, I think I can. But you know, here's what I'm really also excited about around here is the Mile High Church Foundation. It's my honor to serve as chairman of this foundation, an honorary volunteer position that I've assumed to add whatever momentum I can to a fine board of trustees and to our efforts to have us think short-term now in terms of resourcing our church and as well long-term, multi-generational. I know what Mile High Church has done in my life. I could never repay it fully. But what I can do is make sure that it does survive over many generations. And that's what our endowment is about. And a number of you have heeded the heart's call to be a Nautilus Society member, one who has designated the church in their estate plans so that we build a long-term foundation for Mile High Church that's strong and steady. And in this world and in these days, I absolutely believe that we need strong centers of light and truth like this to shine brightly and to attract more and more people who are ready to burst the bonds of obsolete thinking, toxic thinking, and really awaken their lives and contribute to a productive society. And to make sure that this place is here for our children and their children's children. So now we have some Nautilus members. We've had a little honoring of them in between services who are here. And any of you who weren't at that but who are also Nautilus members, I'm going to invite you all to stand so we can say thank you for your leadership here at Mile High Church. Yeah. Wow. All of you amassed right down here. I don't know if I should be intimidated, like a really powerful peanut gallery right down here in front. I also want to echo the announcements and Reverend Joshua talking about the Science of Mind classes, the opportunity to deepen, especially beyond limits. If you have not studied this teaching, that's the opportunity to integrate it, not just hear it, but integrate it and use it and see the transformations in every area of your life. And if you've done it before, do it again. I taught that course over 150 times in my 43 years doing this stuff. And every time it took me deeper. Because while the ideas are basic, they're not elementary. They're deep and profound. And so dive in and give yourself the joy of this rich teaching. Our topic today is the call to soar forward. Erica and I were on a long break of our meditation and prayer retreat. And we have one coming up in November, by the way. 10th through the 13th, as you saw in the announcements. And we were on a break, and it was this past June, a lovely day and clear blue skies. And we kept hearing the buzzing of planes going over pretty regularly, 5 minutes, and then about 5 or 10 minutes, another one would come over. And Erica said, what is all that? Why so many? And I said, well, if you notice, those planes are towing another plane, an engineless plane called a glider. And there's this cord connecting the two of them, and it's towing. And I've got to imagine that these are cadets from the Air Force Academy who are in the process of mastering the fine art of flight. And they're doing this through the glider planes. They're being towed up there. And as I shared that with her, I remembered something. I recalled that in the early 80s, a couple of buddies here at Mile High and myself, we went up to the Jefferson County Airport and we signed up and bought glider plane rides. I hadn't remembered that for years. And I remember sitting in that little slim glider plane that sits right on the ground. There's just a little tire holding it up and seeing the cord going there and then giving thanks for the experienced pilot behind me in this two-seater and then being towed up. Taking off and being towed up on this line by this Cessna or Piper Cub, I don't know which. And then we got to see, it was a glorious day, I remember, and you could see forever in our area. And then I hear over the headset the pilot behind me say, okay, pull the release lever, pull the release mechanism lever. And a part of me in that instant thought, I'm having a great time as it is. But again, he said, pull the lever. And I did. And then we were airborne free, no engine. And the beautiful sound of the wind and the feeling that we hadn't had before. and him letting me have the stick a little while and making sure I didn't get too crazy. And it was a really powerful experience. And as I reflected on that memory, it dawned on me what a powerful metaphor of transformation, liberation, and personal evolution that is. Powerful metaphor. And I want to delve into that. And one of the key ideas that come forth in this is that life always supports its creation's fulfillment. Life always supports its creation. Support will always be provided, essential support. Now, it's essential that the glider plane be towed to altitude by the engine plane, or the glider cannot fulfill its purpose, which is to give the pilots in training the opportunity to really sense the air, to really become pilots, really fly, to sense the nuances, the updrafts, the downdrafts, the currents of the air. A good glider pilot can stay aloft all day because they know it that well. And so the tow is essential, but it's equally essential that the release mechanism be pulled so that that can all unfold and that whole process can happen. Every one of us was delivered to this world from the womb of our mothers. And shortly after we were born, it was essential that we cut that umbilical cord connecting us so that we could live and so that we could learn to operate upon this plane. Now, what I know is that if in the womb we were thinking and choosing as we do now, we might have proclaimed, I'm doing just fine. I'm getting food regularly, kind of an inner DoorDash. It's comfy here. It's controlled temperature. And I have no challenges. I'm going to stay tethered to mama. Yet a wider dimension of experience awaited each of us. And so there comes a time when almost every source of energy, support, elevation that propels us in this life must be released, that we might know more of our own capacities, that we might awaken to more of our personal and spiritual powers in this life. And to recognize that these invaluable, precious support mechanisms that supply us, they're in our lives for a reason and also for a season. And very few, if any of them, really last forever. Okay? And so what we get to learn is, when is it time to cut the security line? And am I alert to when a blessing has now become a limitation in my experience? Our country, we were ceded colonies of Great Britain. And then the repressive and oppressive policies made our relationship with Great Britain outmoded and non-productive, and so the colonists pulled the release mechanism. And in so doing, they launched a great and ongoing experiment in democracy, in the kind of system that could allow individuals to develop and reveal their potential, that was based on religious pluralism, despite the distorting ideas that are being put out there. We were designed to be a religiously pluralistic society, a society that could be inclusive of all beings, with liberty and justice for all. It's a great thing that they did. And so indeed, there are key moments on our journey when the guiding intelligence within every one of us issues the call to soar free. And I got a sense that this love intelligence that brought us here, that lives within us, that creates through us, it loves this whole process. It loves that call. The Spirit says to us, find that which elevates you. Find that which propels you. Use it well. And then know the time when it's important to let it go and to release that mechanism. Pull the release lever. Soar. You can soar. And of course, as I am wont to do, I created an acronym for SOAR. Seize opportunity and release. Life is saying that. There will be a time when it's important for you to seize opportunity and release so you can really fly in this life and really go for it. Also knowing that new sources of support and elevation are always available when we let go of the former and the lesser. But the tendency then, the challenge is we get dependent on a familiar source of support or energy in our life. We get dependent on the way it is or was in our life. And so we start clinging tenaciously and fiercely to so much. All of that being of the world of change, and yet we cling. And Ram Dass said that when you cling to that which changes, you suffer. And we create this kind of suffering in our life. And so I'm inviting you today, and as I do part 2 next Sunday, to ask the question, where in my life am I clinging? Where am I resisting life-changing experiences? Where am I resisting the change that could enhance my life? Where am I delaying the breakthroughs into more of what I am, into more of what I'm designed and destined to be? Am I willing to get good at knowing when it's time to pull that release lever? And I think the profound way of living is to be so alert to that rather than needing a lot of pushing from the universe or from circumstance, a lot of sheer necessity, that we see it coming and we rush to greet it. And that we are proactive. A great example of this is a lady I love so much, and many of you hold her dear in your hearts too, and that's Dr. Marjorie Stamm, the late Dr. Marjorie Stamm, one of our fine associate ministers. I had the privilege of working with her for 25 years or so. She gave so much to this ministry and this church. And I loved a style of living of hers, which was to greet change and rush to it and allow it to happen. Not reluctantly, but proactively. In fact, I remember when she was winding up her career here, she had been over many months giving away the various aspects of her portfolio to various members of staff and ministers. And she was getting everything ready. And then one day, she walked in, handed me a key and said, "My office is now bare. It's yours to use, whomever you want in there." And she said, "I'll still be on the team, but I'll be working from another place. And so I'm done with it as it is." And then she got in her big blue Buick and she drove over to her favorite cleaners, corner cleaners. And she had developed a deep friendship with the owner, Marilee. And she went in and she said, "Marilee, I'm stepping into a new life and I love you, but I'm not going to see you again. And it's been a wonderful thing. Thank you." Then she got in that vehicle and she drove to a car lot, a car dealer, sold the car dealer to them, and had them drive her to her new active senior residence that she'd scoped out. And she started a new life. Was it easy for her? Probably not. No easier than it would have been for any of us. But I think a part of her said, "I was happy here. I'm going to create happiness there." And she called it her cruise ship because it had everything she needed. And so she embraced that fully. She lived fully here and she embraced that. I want to live like that. I want to live like that because that's letting life take us forward, really allowing it to soar. So I want to go through some areas where you may want to reflect on this. Some of these areas may be ripe for you to pull that release mechanism, seize opportunity and release. The first is roles. Roles. Now that's not that stuff that shows up in our midsection that try as we might, pulling the release lever is really tough on that. No, the roles we play. The roles that we play. Most of the roles in our lives, we assume with great heart, they're beautiful, they matter, and they do still have a shelf life of a certain time. And once it's reached that end of that shelf life, it's important to either release the role or more commonly to transform it or evolve the role. And there's so many roles we all play. Every one of us plays multiple roles. And it's time to go in and say, am I just doing it because I've always done it this way? Or is it time for this to shift? I've thought of some of them that are examples. One is parenting. Oh, it's very important as parents to let the parenting role evolve. Yet I know some parents are still trying to run their kids' lives. They're adults now doing their thing. They're still running their lives as though they were teenagers. When really the goal of a parent is to not be needed anymore. The goal of a parent is to bring the young person to the place where they pull the release mechanism and they start soaring free in their life. And Erica and I have had that experience. We now know of ourselves in the parenting role as more like consultants who receive minimal requests for our services. And we just bless all their decisions and choices, biting our tongue a lot. My tongue's about an inch shorter than it was, but we don't meddle. And we don't do that stuff because we want them, that's their life. It's their life. The same could be said for children who need to be booted out of the nest, who've become dependent in their life. I've always loved what Khalil Gibran in The Prophet wrote. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. Times we have to pull the release lever and do things a different way. And yet it's progress. So many of these different role type situations. For me, in the professional area, I got the deep guidance that though I loved what I was doing and had been doing for 43 years in the formal ministry and 25 years at the helm here with so much support of great ministers and practitioners and board members, and it was idyllic, and yet something in me just kept saying, and now you need to step from that role and do discovery work of your own. And that's not going to happen when you're so immersed in such a demanding role, and you need to do this. And I fought it for a while, and we should all be compassionate with ourselves when we fight the guiding light that says it's time to soar. But finally I agreed and allowed it to happen. And I know the first year it was quite interesting learning how to fly in that new experience, but then it's been so much nicer. And I still do some webinars and classes, and I help out around here and meditation retreat and the foundation. And there's so much deepening going on in me. And, you know, I'm an ordained minister, so I'll be ministering for life, and I still do weddings and funerals and all that stuff. And yet there's another experience happening. It's much like what a colleague of mine, Sig Paulson, the late Sig Paulson, he was a wonderful New Thought writer, and he built some strong ministries. And he writes that there was a time he came back from an extensive trip in Europe, and the next day after he got home, he couldn't get out of bed. The doctors checked him out and said he was on the verge of a heart attack. And they prescribed bed rest and possible surgery. And this was shocking and yet opening to him. And he says, as he lay in bed recuperating, he wrote these words. Then a strange thing happened. I began discarding the roles I had been playing, the images I had projected to the world. I saw my husband image dissolve and drop away, my father image, my brother image, my son image, my family image, my social images, all dissolved and dropped away. Then my business image and my professional image, my work image followed the same pattern and dropped away. I saw the whole pattern of my life dissolving and dropping away. And suddenly I started to laugh because I saw the humor in my whole experience. How seriously I had played those roles, how diligently I had supported and insisted on many things that seemed so important and essential at the time, but now were being seen in a new perspective. And there I was, stripped naked, shorn of my roles and images, with only my inner self to face the love that had created me. Now, he recuperated, I will tell you, and he went back into many of those roles, but he had an experience of his essential self beyond those roles. And I think we all need to have that from time to time, lest we start identifying as those roles and forget that we're pure spirit, inhabiting a role but not being confined by it. Is there something about the roles you play that's time for the great shift, pulling that release mechanism? The second are the routes that we're taking, the pathways we've chosen for our life. I know many, many people who are very frustrated and dissatisfied with the path they have created. Maybe their career or their vocation or whatever the path might be. And yet there's the resisting. It's familiar. Maybe they've even been good at it, gotten good at it. And there's the resistance to make the kind of changes that would satisfy the heart, allow a dream in the heart to come forth. And that's a sad thing. It's like a prison sentence almost. From my heart to yours, if you're in that situation, start working with that dream in your heart. And ask to be given the courage to pull the release lever when it's time to do that. When that path isn't good, maybe you come to a fork in the road and you're seeing that it's a road less traveled that you need to take. Claim the dream. It's not going to flourish when it's just a possibility, but you're living another life. You got to pull the release mechanism. Let the dream be foremost. Free yourself. I know of a guy who was a tremendous software engineer, and he was making tons of money and supplying his family well. He was overworking, but his real dream, when he really got honest with himself, was to raise orchids. And he wanted to raise the best orchids anywhere and have a shop and a greenhouse to do that. Finally, his family told him, "We'd love for you to do that. We don't care about all this stuff you've piled up around us. We want you, and we don't get you, and we'll support you in this." And they opened up an incredible new chapter in their life. It scared him, but he did it. And I know many other examples like that right here, who pulled that release lever. Maybe that's what's calling to you. Then in the area of relationships, there are times when it's important to soar free there as well. Some relationships, and I'm blessed to be in one, have a really long lifespan. As long as my days here, I'll be traveling with Erica. But the good news about it is those kinds of relationships for us, they keep us growing. They've got the space to grow. They don't tap out. And I pray that you're blessed with those kinds of relationships, whether it's a partnership, a marriage, whatever you've got going. But then in many other areas of our life, our romantic or our love relationships or in business and professional relationships, sometimes things run their course. I know of individuals who've come together not to be together all their days, but to bring certain lessons and insights and realizations to one another. And having served that, it's best that they be free. I know other individuals, other couples who've pulled the release lever on a former quality of their marriage and have reinvented and re-enchanted it to a higher level, to a more effective level. Relationships will do that from time to time, whether it's business relationships, marriage relationships, sometimes it's friendships. Sometimes as we grow, we begin to realize that we're attracting new friends that relate to that expanded space. And there are some friendships of ours that'll go the distance no matter how we grow, but then there's a number of them that we realize, okay, that was a part of a former chapter, and we can lovingly release that or at least shift it. And sometimes we feel guilty and obliged and all that stuff. But the truth is, as Emerson said, we can see our own growth in the successive choirs of our friends. It's like as we grow, our friendships shift. What if we allowed that rather than fought it? Always keeping our heart open to everybody. Yeah, relationships. I want to talk about another one, ruts. Oh, yeah, you know, those deep ruts, the stifling status quo, the stagnancy that we can cultivate in our life. I believe we get in ruts because it's a great way not to be vulnerable. It's a great way to hide out from the natural energies of change that want to go forward in our life. Is there a rut that you've been in? You got to get out of that rut. You can't You can't say to the universe, well, I'll get out of it when you show me something better. No. You got to get out and find the better and soar, learn to fly in different territory than that familiar, safe rut. Now, I want to talk a little bit here about COVID. Now, we all had to shift a lot of patterns and behaviors when COVID was in our midst. And so we pulled back and we isolated and we quarantined and social distanced and all of that. And no doubt it had its level of appropriateness. And then the most damaging wave of that began to pass, and though it's still a challenge for some, especially compromised individuals, it has opened us back to life, and yet there are many who stay in those ruts. They stay in their ruts. It's like they pulled back and they recoiled, and there's this fear of getting back into the flow fully of life. And I think it's time to look at that. I mean, take whatever precautions are appropriate to you individually, and yet, are you still in a pull-back, hideout mentality in some area of your life? Luckily, it's not in attending church. You guys are here, and man, am I glad to see that. God bless you for that. God bless you for that. But you know, there comes a time when we got to get out of our pajamas and get back in life, you know? And I love and bless you watching online, but if you're local, get out of your pajamas and get yourself over here to this church and enjoy it. Because it leads me to the last aspect of this. It's religiosity. It's very important to pull the release lever on religiosity, because there's a difference between spiritual experience and religiosity. Just mouthing doctrines, assuming that what you've been told is the only truth. Every spiritual way calls us to deepen into the experience of the divine. And we don't do that just in our heads. We open our hearts. We take the classes. We get involved. We open and we let go of former shallow beliefs to deepen into ones that are more alive within us. One of the great good news is that there's a master pilot in the seat behind you in this life, as there was for me. And it's a voice of guidance and insight and courage and all the qualities of the divine. And we can access that and fly forward into the deepening that's here for us. And the reason I'm so stressing the importance of being here in person is that there's your private spiritual life. When you go within, as it were, and you do your prayer work and your meditation work and that's beautiful. And yet it reaches a top set if you don't have another component of spiritual practice, and that is spiritual community. That's why all of the great teachers have said, go apart a while, but at the same time come together. Where two or more are gathered, there's a higher state available. And so we come into community, and that supercharges our personal life. We go back and we deepen that. And then we come back into community, and that resources us and empowers us as well. And so we do all of this so that we're not just hanging out in superficial religiosity, but we're in the flow of the depths of spirit. Pull that release lever on that superficiality and open to the magnificence of a deep spiritual life, which is a great life, a good life, a creative life, a joyful life, a loving life. So as you think about these things, the roles you play, the routes you've chosen, the relationships of various kinds, and the ruts and the religiosity, I just invite you to remember what was told to Abraham, who ended up being the father of the three great monotheisms, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. At one point, he asked God for a son when he was 75, and his wife was 10 years younger, and God said, well, that'll be all right, but here I got a bigger idea. I want you to leave everything you got. Leave your father's home and all the land and all the riches and all this stuff. And I want you and your wife, I want you to leave. And I'll tell you later where I want you to go. Now, how many would accept that? Pull that release lever. But he did it. He obeyed. He obeyed. But he went forth with these promises from God that are made to you when you, in any area of your life, pull that release lever. God said to Abraham, you'll be guided. You'll be changed into more of what you are. And you'll be blessed and a blessing. So whatever comes forth in your heart, remember that. And just silently say to yourself, I will be guided. Together? I will be guided. I will be changed. I will be blessed and a blessing. Soar. Let's have a prayer. May we now still the mind and move to the precious heart center. We know God in the heart, for God is love. So we allow our hearts to open and quicken even more so, that we might sense the loving presence that has birthed us of its own essence, provides us many channels of support, many tow planes along the way, and yet knows we're meant to soar, to fly, to reveal more of the capacities, the beauty, the uniqueness woven into the very fabric of our being. Sense that loving essence that ever proclaims, thou art my beloved child, in whom I'm well pleased. May a certain passion for life and a heartfelt courage well up within us to fully cooperate with this unfoldment within. To know that there's a season for all things and that there's always a new spring. And so I bless us as we partner even more fully with that God seed, that it bears even greater fruition throughout our precious and needed lives. So I affirm and know that in the ways guided to pull the release mechanism and soar, I know we are empowered from the depths of the true being within us, the innate courage, creativity, and guidance. Lead us forward as we willingly allow a metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly in some area. As we willingly let God be God in us. I know every step of the way the Master Pilot guides and supports. And may we thrill at all that can be as we let go of what was. And so for this deep inspiration and all we do with it, I affirm and know we're blessed and guided, surely. And it's a beautiful thing to soar. And we bless anyone who is hurting anywhere, that they might feel and be open to the waves of love and support that move from this center of light through us all. We give thanks for the steady emergence of the awakening of humankind, such that peace and well-being can proliferate around the planet for all peoples. Peace, peace, peace. And may we feel grateful that what we're knowing and accepting now is the truth, unfolding by means of us. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. We let this go and let it be so. And so it is.
Oh Lord, my God, you are my strength. You carry me on your wings. You are in me, you know my heart. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you. My love, my soul like a mighty river to my heart. You are my life, you set me free, and I will love you forever and ever and ever and ever. My soul sings out to you, my love. Yes, my soul sings out to you. Yes, yes, my soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, incredible band. Thank you. And all I got to say is I pray that the Broncos pull the release mechanism on last week's performance. Yes, better things are ahead. It's a time of joy here at Mile High Church. It's a time of sharing. And what I love about this is there comes a time when we pull the release mechanism on our old resistance to share. And we realize it's the absolute key to prospering in every area of our life. For as we give, we receive. And when we put out these blessings and go to even higher levels, recognizing, it's time to pull a release on that level. Let's go to something more, that we're blessed even more and more immeasurably. So I thank you for your support of this wonderful spiritual beacon. I know you're a blessing and you'll be blessed as you do what you're about to do. And since we don't have the graphics, just remember there are many ways to share. You can do it online, by mail. The baskets are coming around as the ushers take their places. You can do it by text. All of those ways, but may you do it with joy and great, great love. All right, let's hold that gift or tithe in your hand or in your heart, and let's declare together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
Up on the heights, you let me go, you make my heart to rise from the depths below. You hold me up, so I can see, you're ever lifting me, you're ever lifting me. You lifted my head so I know you're near me, you lifted my eyes so I see it clearly. Where I belong, you are where I belong. I'm lifting my voice just to sing a new song, I'm lifting my hands just to show you I know where I belong. You are where I belong. You let me go, you make my heart to rise like death below. Ooh, you hold me up, so I can see, you're ever lifting me, you're ever lifting me. You lifted my head so I know you're near me, you lifted my eyes so I see clearly where I belong. You are where I belong. I'm lifting my voice just to sing a new song. I'm lifting my hands just to show you I know where I belong. You are where I belong. You are ever lifting me.
Thank you, Lauren Sheely and our Mile High Band. Randy, so honored to have you with us today. Let's hear it for Dr. Roger Teel, everybody. We will channel that message into the Denver Broncos, wherever they are. It's a visiting game. No more fumbling on the 1 yard line, guys. Okay. Making their way to the front of our stage, our incredible prayer practitioners. These are folks that are here to know the truth of who you are. What a wonderful thing to take advantage of. If you're new to our church here, we have a welcome center in the middle of the lobby, or if you're watching online, especially today, Reverend Zamir is teaching a new members class. You don't have to join the church, but it's a great way to hear more about that. And details are online. We are starting classes this week. I get to teach Beyond Limits on Tuesdays. We have so many wonderful options, but since one of our teachers is right here, Dr. Patty, what is metapsychiatry?
Well, if you first have taken Beyond Limits, then you qualify for metapsychiatry because it is a spiritual aspect that breathes soul into dry bones. It helps us understand our own psychic. So I invite you.
Thank you, Patty. Hey, this Wednesday is the International Day of Peace, and Chris Plim and Millie Forsberg are going to be in our chapel at 6 p.m. Celebrating that by creating a vigil around healing racism. So please join us for that in person. And also our own Reverend Nadine Cox is going to be teaching a mandala workshop this Saturday. Lots of good stuff going on, Dr. Roger. So good to have you here.
Wow, thank you.
Will you lead us in our benediction today?
I will. Let us stand.
Wait, one moment. Very holy thing happening today. Pancakes. Pancakes. Youth, enjoy the sacrament, folks. Thank you very much.
The sacrament of the pancake breakfast has returned. God bless it. Part 2 next Sunday. So glad you're here. We go forth now into the evolutionary flow of life, letting it unfold in, through, and as the glorious self that we are. This moment and every moment, now and always, and so it is. Amen.
Let there be peace on